As I was reading and as I completed Joseph Turo's The Voice Catchers, there were a few things that he mentioned, but also just a few ideas that came up when reading about voice intelligence technology in the industry and also just kind of smart homes that surprised me. One of the things that surprised me as I thought about it was how quickly the voice intelligent industry has grown, and also how within the last decade or so it's kind of been implicitly adopted in a way that I don't think similar technologies have been adopted before. I am of the age that when I was in middle school and high school, that's when uh, easy access to the internet came about through America Online and Prodigy and CompuServe and all the, here's 30 free hours of the internet. But I remember not just from my sometimes overly protective parents, but also in the media and from teachers, using the internet was to be met with extreme caution. You didn't use your real name. You were super sensitive about giving out any kind of personal information. You never paid for anything online. You would always find the information you want and then give them a call. Obviously, security measures have improved since those early days, but still, it was met with very much a watchful eye. And fast forward a little bit, I got my first iPhone. It was the iPhone 3G. And at the time, it didn't have Siri. I don't think that came around until the iPhone 4. And even so, when it was installed as part of an update, I didn't use it for years because I didn't trust that. And again, I think that's lingering effects from growing up with the internet being still somewhat new. However, in the last decade or so, I know in the book, Turo mentions an article from 2018 talking about Amazon Prime Day, and it lists all the devices that Amazon was selling that use voice intelligence technology, be it an Echo or a smart microwave or smart plug or anything else, a smart, fridge, and they can all listen in. And it's gotten to the point where it's cumbersome to try to deactivate everything. And it's so convenient to actually use those features that I think by design and also just by time passing and everyone being more comfortable with the internet and being more comfortable with doing commerce and doing everything on the internet. Now it's just part of life. And again, even the book mentions, and you see in real life, that these devices are listening past what their explicit purposes are. And again, that's also just kind of been accepted in a way. Another thing that surprised me, and this wasn't mentioned specifically in the book because the book was, I believe, written primarily in 2019 and published in 2021. I know there's some studies and things mentioned from 2020, but being as that I'm recording this late in March of 2026, a few days ago was the 6-year anniversary of the COVID lockdown. And it just made me think, being as that was 2020, and many households did have these devices as long with smartphones, just how much more data was collected during that time period. I didn't know where to look necessarily to see if there's been studies done on that, but I have to imagine that for companies like Amazon and Google, with everyone being home for such an extended period of time, that the amount of data that they were collecting had to go through the roof. I'd be curious to see a line graph of how that looked. And finally, another thing that surprised me was how your voice can be used believe Turo mentioned like a fingerprint. I always thought that it was, or I always pictured it as just kind of voice detection and transcription, but utilizing your intonation, utilizing your patterns, utilizing your tone to really narrow down marketing opportunities is interesting, and I had not thought about it that way. And so, case in point, this isn't one of my favorite brands necessarily, but it is a brand that I use often. Starbucks, for instance, not only could they know, hey, this is when they usually go to Starbucks, but they could also listen in and be like, oh, this person mentioned, but also sounds like they're tired. They could probably use an incentive to buy a larger cup of coffee or a cup of coffee in general if they don't usually purchase it daily. I've also thought they could listen in on, someone mentions, hey, we're going on a road trip, we're going on vacation. I know road trips is when I buy almost routinely. Whenever I start a road trip, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. And so if they know that I'm leaving or that I'm about to head out, they could, send me an impromptu notification like, hey, it's double stars hour, or however they'd want to market it. And they could also, you mentioned you're hungry, you mentioned that, again, like you're tired or something like that, and they could bust in with their notifications letting you know, this is on special, this is a promotion we're running, or just a reminder that, hey, we exist and we're convenient. And so there's lots of use beyond just keeping track within the app of this is the time that they normally buy, but using voice intelligence technology to really cater to a personalized experience. Thank you.